Happy Sunday to you. We're warming back up. It's warming back up here in Desert Hot Springs, and we had our nice little cool spell. Today was pretty warm. I went down into town for a couple things, and it's pretty warm. It was a quiet town today, very quiet. It was like a lot of the summers are here when businesses shut down. I think they are officially kind of shutting down. It's past the first day of summer. And a lot of stuff wasn't open today on Sunday in the downtown area. The streets were pretty bare for the most part. It just kind of felt like a middle of summer feel here in town. And but I like that. That's just the natural course it takes. And it was warm down there. And I think we're going to get back up to our normal temperatures for the time. It's been beautiful in the nighttime sleeping with the cool breezes. Outside before bed, go out and feel some nice cool air. Wake up in the morning, it's not too hot too early. Those days are coming, the days of the 90 degrees by 6:30 or 7 a.m. Those will be here pretty soon. So anyway, welcome. It's a beautiful Sunday here in the desert, and I want to open the phone lines. Anybody who wants to call in, the ringer's on low, so if you want to call in, talk about anything. Argue with me, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm open to anything. So 760-671-5627 is the phone number. 760-671-5MAS, M-A-S, because that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you more, and I'm going to give you more and more and more and more. So you can see over my shoulder, I've got newsanddhs.com up, and the newest article is posted on newsanddhs.com. The Cannabis, just another crony capitalism industry. It's just got too many roots to it, pun not intended, roots into the government. And after you start to research and you get deeper into research, you find out that everything is interconnected because it's for social control. And you see that anything that they can use to social control, they use it, and they pick people who are willing players. They don't just let anybody get into a big industry like cannabis who's going to expose what's going on. These are hand-selected people, and that's why everything goes smooth. And the article there on newsanddhs.com, Independent News DHS, is showing you with links that even the federal government was looking for people to grow cannabis, and there are government subsidies for farm, and that's really what they're doing. They've got a farm business when they're growing this cannabis. So it doesn't mean directly that Candescent is getting direct money, paychecks from the government, welfare checks. It doesn't mean that. It means that it's an industry that is coated with a seasoning. It's like a raw steak you're going to cook on the grill. You put some steak seasoning, some steak rub on it. You may put it in some A1 sauce or whatever you're going to put in the bowl, and you mix it all up and you let that stuff kind of soak into that outer layer of the steak. That's what I'm talking about, is that this is about, the cannabis industry is not about, hey, you're free, you go with it, you run with it, you do what you want with it, we're going to stay out of it. No, it's heavily controlled. And it's not even a dangerous plant. I really have no problem with the plant. I have a problem with all of the control, all of the using of it, all of the manipulating of all of the players involved in it for certain purposes, because people are very, 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 I can't put enough varies on this sentence. People are very, very, very controllable. And mostly because they don't even know they're being controlled. I heard a saying from somebody who I worked with years ago on this kind of activism stuff, and he said, dogs, I'm talking about your domesticated home, your dog in your home. Dogs, you may have, dogs do not know that they are pets. They don't know what that is. they see life as that's the way life is. They don't know anything about hunting out in the wild. They know that food arrives in their bowl every day. They don't know that they're pets. They don't know that you own them. They don't know that you control them. They think their freedom exists within the boundaries of your home. They think that's all freedom is. So you take that to the next level, and you talk about humans. They don't know that they're being controlled in pets, especially when the system can get to them from birth, from the day they're born. They're into the system. They're numbered, they're tracked, they're traced, and they're threatened with fear from day one. You comply or else. Just like with your dog. It's threatened with a spanking if it doesn't comply with what you're asking it to do. But the dog doesn't know it's a pet. And most humans don't know that they're just pets. They're pets to a larger system that keeps them in line through social control, through social manipulation. And cannabis is too big of an industry for the system of control to stay out of. Now, the levels that this goes to that I'd like to talk about are levels where you have, I don't know how to put this, how to say this in a way where it's more easily understood. You have, I forgot my notes. I left my notes in another place. I may take a brief little break and go get them because they're powerful. My notes hold all of my things I wanted to cover today. And that's what I was looking at. I thought these were my notes. These are from my notes from the other day. It's once you break out of this and you start to see that it's just a because you outnumber them. We outnumber the system to a exponential degree. You know, we're way more than the people who create these little systems. So what the systems are designed to do is keep you in line, keep you compliant with the things they want to do. And one of the reasons, sorry, it's a little warm today. One of the reasons why Desert Hot Springs is so controlled is because all cities are controlled. They're controlled very, very well and managed very well from the top. And Desert Hot Springs is no exception. Desert Hot Springs is no exception. Why? Because if Desert Hot Springs, turn the fan on higher here. If Desert Hot Springs, yeah, it feels better. If Desert Hot Springs was to fall and allow more free thinkers to come in, it's just like what happened in the EU. London and England and the people of England are now struggling to get out of the EU. Why? Because they're the first country who said we want out of the EU. Well, the EU is fighting to keep them in. So what they can't have in Desert Hot Springs is have people getting involved that can get Desert Hot Springs out of this control system. And it's not a revolution, it's about, okay, I had a long conversation with Councilman Russ Betts yesterday. And he called me, left me a message saying, hey, I wanted to talk to you about your video that I made. The video I made about the homeless camp, the encampment on along the train tracks in Rancho Mirage. He said he saw it. He said you were brave, which is great. He said call me back. He had a question about a comment that I made in the video, which was about how Jan Pai is holding the ad hoc homeless committee, and I'm not sure she's got this all go in line and going smooth here, because she sent a message to me, which she probably sent to all of all the ad hoc committee members. She sent this message to me on the 29th, and it was a rundown of what's going to happen on the May 26th meeting. No, June 26th meeting. Oh, this is May 29th. Okay, so this was written in May 29th about the June 26th meeting. So this she sent, but it's got parking lot 1, 2, 3, 4. Next meeting on June 26, 2019. Then, a number of hours later, she sent the following document, and she said something like, "Whoops." She said, I was already there. I sent the wrong agenda. June 26th, I will see you there. So she sent what I was still referring to in the video, which is that this is the homeless committee. This is the ad hoc homeless committee for June 26th, called Order Ground Rules 3 Minutes, focused on DHS renters, not focused on landlords. So obviously there's parameters that are being set for what can be discussed at this meeting, which is, I'm sure, open to the public. So if you wanted to go to it, you can go to it. It's at the Carl May Center, the City Council Chambers, on June 26th at 6 p.m. Ground Rules 3 Minutes, focused on DHS renters, not focused on landlords. Use microphones, wait for the chair to recognize you. Then it said Housing Authority of County of Riverside, 15 minutes. Housing Authority of County of Riverside, 15 minutes. Then Fair Housing Council of Riverside, 15 minutes. Now this is a homeless committee, ad hoc homeless committee meeting, and we're having the Housing Authority of County of Riverside come and speak for 15 minutes. And what I said in the encampment video was that Jan Pye seems to think that we need to listen to people who have homes. Obviously, the people who are going to speak from the Housing Authority of the County of Riverside are not going to be homeless people. What I was referring to was that we have people that are going to tell us what it's like to be in the homeless community, or whatever they're going to discuss about the homeless situation. And these people who have homes, I mean, I have a home, but at least I'm going down there and I'm digging into the camps, hoping to find something peaceful that I can cover and bring back for information. And I did. I got a lot out of that video that I made. I saw people who were coming from the camps, going down to panhandle for the day, collect their loot, spend it on whatever they need for the day, and then go back to their camp at night. Free housing along the tracks, the train tracks. I mean, granted, it's not nice housing. I mean, of course, it's gross. Got my straw like I said I would. So he called, Councilman Russ Betts called me and said he wanted to ask me what that meant. Now, he doesn't have access to this because I think possibly Ms. Jan Pye is throwing these things together and, kind of editing them herself and sending them out, which is fine. It's her thing. So he didn't know what that meant. What did I mean by the housing? Was going to be telling us about how some housing group was going to be telling us about housing, and it wasn't the renters, or it wasn't the homeless people. So when I talked to Councilman Russ Betts, we covered a lot of different issues, and we couldn't seem to get off the phone with each other because each one of us had to, had something to say back, and what he expected, I think, the call to be half the time of it was double the time he thought it was going to be. We talked about a lot of different things. He talked about how he used to get, with Adam Sanchez, he used to get people to do cleanup crews. We talked about some of the things they discussed in the last city council meeting. And, what his line of thinking was the reason why people don't do that anymore. And I flat out told him, I said, you have an invaluable resource out there in the city, and that's the people. The people of the city are so powerful. Once they click and everything lines up for them, and they see that they're appreciated, they're wanted, they're supported, they're backed, they're spoken for. So many things that I do not believe that the majority of the residents in Desert Hot Springs feel they have behind them. If you had that, if you harness the power of that in people in Desert Hot Springs, you would have a lot of problems fixed. And what Councilman Russ Betts suggested was, if I wanted to put together a cleanup crew, and he'd line up through money from the city, dumpsters, things like that, which they've done in the past. And that's as far as he went with it. And I know he knows more, and I'm not going to press him on it, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell you what the next step is, and why we don't go to that next step without needing all these dumpsters is because people don't feel they're represented in the city. So what does that make people do if they feel like they're not represented in their city? They withdraw, they back away, they let things happen without stepping up and participating in it. And you see it in city council meetings, you see it on and special events they hold. Nobody wants to really go to that except for people who have a vested interest in it, maybe people who are part of the group that's being celebrated. You don't have the common hordes of people arriving at these events they hold. And it's because I believe because they don't feel like they're solidly backed up by their city. And if they felt like they were, watch out. They would unleash a powerful force. And I believe, and this is the next step that I was getting to, I believe that they don't go there because that would undermine their authority. I believe they don't go to that next step and inform people of just about everything they could possibly tell them about, because it would unwind a massively powerful, it would unwind their, how do I put it, their structure. And they don't want that. They can't hold on if the public gets really engaged. So what Councilman Russ Betts, what he would do in the conversation was he would only go to a certain stopping point with everything. And I always go to the multiple levels up above where things would go next, where they lead next. And one of the things that he said was that we can't have at the city council meetings, we can't talk until midnight. We can't have those conversations until midnight. And I agree to that. But what I told him was he has a very powerful voice in the city. And he has plenty of time and off hours to share things with people, to talk about, to spread information to people. He has social media. He's on it. And I'm not saying that he's withholding stuff from people, but his argument was that you can't have at city council meetings, you can't debate things until all hours of the night. I understand that. That's why in the off hours you can discuss things so that once it comes time for the meeting, everybody's on the same page. We know what the whole full spectrum of the problem is. We go there to the meeting, you bring up the most important issues, you cover them, you talk about it, you vote, and you're done. You don't have to talk about everything at the city council meeting. You can talk about it beforehand. You can talk about it in the 2 weeks they have before the city council meeting, usually. You can talk about the issues in the public. Get publics, but that's the point I keep saying they can't go to. They can't get that involvement from the public. They can't get you guys to come back in and actually bring in. That's why they don't want me in there, because they know that I would bring valid, solid arguments to the problems, and it would wipe out their goals, which is to keep people. I'm not saying I'm not saying that they are intentionally keeping people in the dark. If we don't know what they know, then we can't say that they're intentionally keeping people in the dark. All I know is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there's more to each thing, but we only get a tiny little fraction of what is really going on. So it was a good call, and I think I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to go get my notes. So you hold tight. I'm going to give you a Independent News DHS page to look at while I'm gone. I'll be back in just a flash. Okay, got him. My little ragtag production here. But I don't know of anything else in the city that's like this, so I like it. I love doing this stuff. I like making sure articles get put out. I like communicating with you guys here. I like having my coffee in the morning, my water in the afternoon. So what I wanted to get to in my notes was, I drove down Desert View today. They just finished the sidewalks and the new paving and the new crossing, yellow lines for crossing the streets, and all 4 of them. I don't know about anybody else, but it kind of looks like a carnival out there. You know, you got greens, you got yellows. I don't know. You got yellow mats going down the ADA ramps. It's like that. What's that? Via Escuela, when you go down Gene Autry towards Palm Springs, and you make a right on Escuela, I believe it is, right before you get to Vistachino. You go down that road, and they've got these plastic speed bumps. They got these white lines that increasingly get wider, which I believe is for the autonomous vehicles to spot the speed bumps, so the autonomous vehicles don't blow out their shocks. You got the white poles sticking up out of the ground. The roads are just looking like carnival attractions almost. And I get it's safer for some kids to walk up the street. But I was on Desert View, and it made me think that what's done in the city is not about what you what you visibly see is physically done. It's about the nuances. It's about the subtleties around each of those things. It's about the slight, this again, the flavor, the seasoning of things. And going back to the ad hoc homeless committee that's going to happen on the 26th, or June 26th. What I'm seeing going on these days is that there's a lot more people with a lot more knowledge about, you know, crazier and crazier things that are going on. I mean, you can see that our politics, our culture, everything's getting crazier. You're seeing people dressed more like clowns all the time and doing colorful clown-like things, and music videos are just bizarre looking with these flying zombie robot android things, and these, I mean, it's all looking like a big clown world out there. So we're building up to something. We're building up to something. I don't know what it's going to be, and I feel like I'm pretty prepared, but with all this craziness going on, lost my train of thought there for a minute. I'll get back to it. The nuances and the subtleties and for an example, you know, when something's being done, oh, I know what it was. Okay, so we're seeing people who are sharing information with others. It's because when craziness is taking over, craziness can't deny craziness is happening. Okay, craziness can't say, you know, what is crazy is not crazy. So what they do is they actually hijack the movement that is admitting and acknowledging that there's craziness happening, and it's keeping that movement in-house. Because if the movement of understanding what's crazy in the world was allowed to freely just race out and do its own thing, then the craziness would have to stop. So if the craziness wants to perpetuate, the craziness has to have people leading movements, fake movements, that are designed to admit, yes, some things are going on, but not let the full power of the people be realized or be exerted. And I'm seeing that a lot recently, in even in people that I gave the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. I'm seeing a lot of changes going on, and it's a classic telltale sign of operations that are designed to keep you interested in the next lottery ticket. Is my best description of it. If that ticket didn't win, it's always going to be the next one. You know, it's like a couple living together, and one of them has a gambling problem. The one that has a gambling problem is going to go to the other spouse and say, no, this next one's going to be it. Believe me, and they'll spend hours trying to convince that spouse this is the one that's going to work. And while they're going to that next win big gambling spree, they know there's a good chance they won't win. So they're preparing how they're going to come back and tell the spouse, no, it wasn't this one, but I'm getting better. It's going to work. It's going to. So I'm seeing classic signs within the craziness in the world of leaders of groups that have had massive failures. Leaders of these groups are starting to go to the next lottery ticket, and it's a dead giveaway. There's no doubt about it. It's something to seriously consider now, that some of the really big movements that are like mine, which just me, just running by myself, running on my own, doing my own thing, you see them not admitting there's a loss, but saying, stick with me, we can do this, So it's the nuances, then the nuance about that kind of thing, to me, what it is it's the subtle, stay with me, because the meat and potatoes of the things that are discussed are not necessarily wrong. It's the little bit at the end. For a good example, when human traffickers, such as coyotes, when they bring people across the border from Mexico to the United States, one of the common practices, I don't know if they're doing it right now because there's so many people coming across, is what they do is they take a branch and they cover their tracks. That's a subtle nuance of what they're doing. Now what they're doing is right out in the open. You can see the groups walking, but later on there's no trace. So the subtle nuances is where you need to focus so that you can understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the build up here in Desert Hot Springs. It's not what they do, it's how they do it is where you need to look. So, the yellow lines crossing the street on Desert View, it's not what they do, it's how they do it. It's the pace at which they do it. It's the subtleties, it's the nuance, it's the wording around it. It's a lot of those little things. That's where it's the soft, subtle way they bring things to you, the soft, subtle way. So that's where you need to focus your attention when I talk about the build-up, and I talk about things in Desert Hot Springs, and I talk about the article that I was talking about, which is the Cannabis, Just Another Crony Capitalism Industry, which basically delves into how it's subsidized in ways, and it's the subtleties about it that are, you can take a garden hose, stream of water. You could have, pull my mom's Bible out here. You could have a cruise ship sitting in the ocean, and if the water is perfectly still, just perfectly still, you could take a garden hose and spray it against the bow of the ship. And if you hold it there long enough, that ship will start to turn. I'm talking about a perfectly still water, no wind, no breeze. Just a stream of garden hose water can turn a ship 360 degrees all the way around if you follow through with it, all the way around. It's going to be almost impossible to get that kind of environment, but you get my point, which is that you can move a lot of things with a very tiny little stream of matter, either words or energy or parlance or the way you say things. So when we have a situation where the city of Desert Hot Springs flat out told us, Danny Portis told us, that in the case of the roadways, when they're talking about narrowing the lanes, which is coming, they've already got the signs up from what is it, Hacienda area, or just below Hacienda, or what street is that? I can never remember that street. What's the street between Too Much Palms and Hacienda, the next major road? It's right there by there's a big plastic cow out front. I can never remember that road. somewhere above there. In that range right there, they're going to be putting in new lights and, you know, all kinds of road construction coming up. And he said they're going to be narrowing the lanes from pretty much highway lane width down a number of feet narrower. And he said they do that because that calms people in driving, that slows people down. So we have a city staff member who said that they are psychologically controlling this. He flat out admitted it in the way he described what they're going to do to the lanes. They're going to narrow them down, because what that does is that manipulates your driving habit into you driving in a more slower manner. So that is a nuance. That is a subtlety in your daily life that has an impact on your behavior. And what I'm talking about in these articles is the subtleties, the nuances of life. And that's where you focus your research, is because anybody can see what they all see together. It's the stuff that's going on around it. And I encourage you all to go read that article about cannabis. It's not bashing cannabis. It starts out by saying, let me start off by saying what I've been saying all my adult life. I don't care who smokes pot. I think it should be as legal to grow as tomatoes plants are today. I have no problem with the plant in its original form. I don't use it. I don't care. I don't I don't play football, but I'm not against football. I don't think it should be illegal to have possession of it on a federal level, a state level, or a local level. I think it's way overregulated. What I don't like is what's next. Now let's go into what I do have a problem with. Cannabis is a DEA-supported drug, and if you click on the link down here, you'll see that it is. Drug Enforcement Agency, right here. Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA for short. If you click that link, it goes right to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. DEA speeds up application process for research on Schedule 1 drugs, which is what cannabis is. Dedicated web portal improves efficiency and security. So what they were doing was, as of December 2017, more than 590 researchers were registered with DEA to study Schedule 1 substances. Every researcher who has submitted a valid research proposal has been approved. And if you go to the other links on the article, it's Forbes, it's Slate. Here's the Forbes article. DEA wants more marijuana grown and fewer opioids produced in 2019. So you're seeing a switch over, and that's what I heard from somebody who has a dispensary in Desert Hot Springs during the State of the City event before the State of the City that just happened. I think it was last month or early, just a couple weeks ago. What the conversation was about was, this person said, when they can start switching more people over from opioids to marijuana, things will get even better for them. Now this is a built-in customer base. This is a picking winners. This is a system where people are placed on third base, as I say, as I've said many times. I don't like that. It's not free and open and open to everybody to give it a chance. Why? Because if it was, you'd get people in there that might catch wind of some things they don't like, and they'll expose it. So they handpick people who are of a certain kind of mindset where they know that they won't question these things, and they'll gladly take the cash over turning somebody in for something that they feel is morally wrong. So I believe that the DEA handpicks certain people of lesser moral background. And it doesn't mean that these are molesters. It just means that these are people who, it's like in the movie The Matrix. If you've ever seen The Matrix, who was that character who said, was eating a steak, and he was telling him, you know, you can work for us, and life will always taste as delicious as this steak does, even though the steak was fake. They were inside the Matrix inside the computer program. And he said something along the lines of, if I can have this forever, I'll do it. I'll basically, if you can promise me that I will enjoy this much I will enjoy things like steak this much for the rest of my life. I'll join the dark side. So, not that cannabis is a dark side, but what this show is about the nuances and the subtleties of how things are done to us as residents in Desert Hot Springs and people in the rest of the country, for that matter. How things are done, and they get away with it, and it hurts people, or it robs people of their opportunity to do it. And that brings us to the other article. Let's talk about the one where I did that video. Oh, before I go there real quick, this is an awesome video. You got to watch this video from Coachellin. I mean, this is just fantastic. So this, I encourage, it's almost a 10-minute video. I mean, this has got everything, including the kitchen sink in it here. Everyone who lives in Desert Hot Springs at least once is driven by this plot of land here. And there's a lot of beforehand. So this is a pretty current video. I think they put this out like this month or last month. But their CGI is just amazing. They're going to be. That's going to be a big hotel here. They're going to have a brewery, and this is going to be like a little mini city here. They're going to be taking in their groundwater, their water from the ground. They're going to be putting it back into the ground. They're going to be filtering water on site. They're going to be creating energy on site. I mean, this is no small project. This is a massive, massive, massive project going on here, and it's slowly getting built, one shovel at a time. But they're overlaying what it looks like today on top of what it's going to look like. And what I take away from this is that this is a real confident program. They're very sure they're going to succeed in this. And that's not what life is really like for us. We take chances, we take risks, and we are not promised success. This has a promise of success, and they know it. They know they're guaranteed success. And I believe it has a lot to do with the medical industry that's going to be getting off of opioids because it has such a bad name, bad rap. And they're going to move to marijuana and cannabis. And I don't have any problem with them doing that. It's not what it's about. This is about picking winners and choosing who loses. That's what this is about. And too many people are unaware that they're picking winners. This is an amazing video. I mean, I get chills watching it. It's just, the music is perfect. The drone footage is perfect. They did a home run job making this video, and you really should watch it. It shows you what's coming to Desert Hot Springs. And they've got, this must be the same company that made the City of Desert Hot Springs video for their new City Hall they're building, which I think is a total waste of money. It's just, what a slam dunk this video is. They're gonna, it's like a little fortress they're gonna have. They're gonna have a security building that's gonna have all their own servers. It gets to that, so you can watch the video. This is Coachella. This is in Desert Hot Springs. What's coming here? So that's our cannabis discussion for the day. I linked it in the article on newsanddhs.com. I put a link there, and how I led to it was, you know, the cultivators really have very little to worry about when it comes to failure, as long as they play by the rules set forth by their masters, Big Pharma and the government. Because I believe that's ultimately who's going to own all this marijuana is Big Pharma. They're staying out of it while others build it, and they're going to buy it later, I believe. Okay, so then we'll go back to News in Desert Hot Springs, newsanddhs.com. We'll go to that homeless video, encampment video. So this was this last week. Decided to go for it. Decided to go see. Here's a guy with cardboard signs. Just a stock photo. It's not. I didn't meet that guy. So in this video, it was interesting because I got right towards the end. I got to where I was up to the second to last camp. I thought it was the last camp, but it was second to last. And as the train went by, I was able to sneak up right here. So there was a guy in this. Let me see if I can full screen this video here. Car chase videos. So inside this tent, right along the train tracks. Let's see if I can stop it at the right point. You can see it. I slowed down the video here. It's right there. It's a guy sleeping. There you can see the blue mattress right here. There's a big huge mattress in there inside the tent, just laying on the dirt. And there's a guy laying right there sleeping. I must have leaned over and got a better look because the camera didn't quite catch everything that I saw. So you can see the mattress there, and you can see, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what part of his body that is. I think that's the legs. That's the upper body. I don't know. But he's laying on his left side. He's facing that way. But I figured I'd use the train going by as a cover to kind of sneak up, because you can't really hear much. It's sand. It doesn't make a lot of noise when you walk on it. But I just didn't want to take any chances. With all the chaos of the noise of the train going by, I figured good opportunity to go take a look. And yeah, there's people living there, right? Right there as I was there. So I backed away. I saw what I needed to see. I didn't need to stick around. And walked back out. No one was the wiser that I was there. And then I walked up to the last one, which is, you can see all these. So the nuances of this is that you can see them from the freeway, but they don't cause a lot of trouble. So everything, as I say, the devil is in the details. That's an old saying. The devil is in the details. So I walked up to this last camp, which you can really see from the freeway. Well, actually, this one's a little harder to see. It's the far one down was easier to see, because they kind of tuck into the trees there. But you got everything in there. I mean, you got, what is that, a basket? You got part of what looked like a shower door around the corner. I mean, there it is. You see the glass from like a shower door there. They've got tarps and covers up. You can see all that from the freeway. If you're heading towards Palm Desert or Costco, you can see this from the freeway. So these people are camping there, and that's like a compound. That's the most. That one looks like it's been there the longest, and it's also the most fortified. They've got. Let's see if I can go back to it here. I guess this is when I was getting up to it. So it's. We'll let this play, and I'll stop at that point. They had what looked like it was like a gate, like a doorway, where it was the main entrance for the encampment, and that's it right there. So this was like a little opening where you could walk through, and there was like a wall going here, another like a wall going up to here. There was just one little entrance in there. So they have. It's fortified on all sides except for that, so you can't really walk through because there's tarp or there's moving blankets or whatever keeping you out, or shower doors keeping you from coming through, except for one end. So it's well thought out, or it's evolved, and it's just there is a lot of junk there. I mean, what's all this wire here? They're just hauling their stuff. That's why it's going to be interesting for this homeless committee meeting that Jampai is going to have. And I told this to Councilman Russ Betts. I said, I'm not going to go there and say anything. I'm just going to sit and listen, because they don't want to listen to me anyway. Even though I do this research, I do this point of view, I do this kind of activism. They don't want my answers. They want their answers, which are, I believe, to continue the problem on. Because it's 2019, people. I mean, homelessness, we still have to study it. I mean, we know what people do. That's what they do. They drag a bunch of garbage, not all of them, but some of them drag a bunch of garbage up to the pallets they're living behind, and they just leave stuff. They're really free people. They just do whatever they want, and there's very little consequences. They may be told to scatter, they may be forced out every once in a while, which it's the price they pay. But I'm not saying they choose this lifestyle, but I understand what they're doing. They're fleeing something, they've lost something. There's people with mental health issues, there's people without mental health issues who just are down on their luck. Everybody in their family has left them. Maybe they lost their parents in a car accident, and they lost their job, and they need to get back on their feet. I mean, there's a whole spectrum of people out there in the homeless community. And one of the things that Councilman Russ Betts brought up to me was that they're talking about putting a homeless facility in Desert Hot Springs, and then I think that's what I was going to get to also, is the healthcare district. So we're on the subject of homelessness. Now we'll go to a message I sent myself here, and that's the KESQ Desert Healthcare District raising funds for overnight homeless shelter. That's June 21st. Was that 2 days ago? By Jeremy Chen. A local organization is raising funds to provide overnight shelter for the homelessness in the western Coachella Valley. And they got money from the original gangsters in Coachella Valley, CVAG, Coachella Valley Association of Governments, where a bunch of politicians and bureaucrats go there and they discuss how best to ask for more money for the problem. To help fund the shelters, the Desert Healthcare District and Foundation created the Summer Homeless Survival Fund. Oh, this'll do it. Here's your next lottery ticket. It would supply some of the $280,000 needed to have an overnight shelter in Palm Springs, Cathedral City, and Desert Hot Springs through the summer. So, that's what he was also discussing with me. He was saying that they tried it with Judy Shea's place, and the neighbors were complaining because there were people in all hours of the night getting picked up, dropped off, disrupting neighbors and what they were doing in their homes, and it didn't work. And so Russ Betts said to me, and I said to him, it's because they try to put everybody who's homeless in one place. It doesn't work. It's like putting hyenas with lions. It's like trying to put gazelles with lions. I mean, you can't mix certain people together. I probably wouldn't work with certain other human beings. Sometimes you meet a person and it's immediately you know that you're off. And then sometimes you meet people and you just love them. You like things about them. So it's the same in the homeless community. These are people who, again, there's some of them have mental issues, some of them have control issues, some of them have aggression issues, and some of them who have aggression issues see people they can prey upon. So what I said to Councilman Russ Betts is that you have to take the homeless problem and you have to first of all divide it into two main groups, and that's easy to do. But as long as they keep putting everybody in one place, it will fail. And I said I don't support that. So I have a feeling this meeting on the 26th is going to go there. It's going to say this is what we'd like to do, or if not that meeting, later on, or because they're already talking about Desert Health Care District. They want to put one in Palm Springs, one in Desert Hot Springs, and one in Cathedral City. They're not talking about splitting into two main groups. These are this type of people. And I said this during the campaign. I said this back in 2018. Yeah, 2018. I get 2016, 2018 mixed up. Sorry, because 2016 was a big election year too. So 2018, I said this back when I was running for mayor in 2018. I said you can break the groups into two different groups defined by one type of homeless and then another type of homeless. That way this one gets along and this one gets along, but you put them together and they don't get along. So as long as they're going to consider putting them in one place, I do not support it, because it's not going to work. It's going to be a failure. And I don't like to be part of things that fail. So that we discussed that. Back to the article in Desert Hot Springs. So I wonder why this is allowed to go on. I mean, it was you could see back here in the you can see the casino from the one last camp. You can all see from the freeway. So it's right under the bridge right there. It's right across the parking lot, but it's near the loading bay for the amphitheater there at the Agua Caliente Casino. So it's not really in view of guests, although some people may be staying on the back side of the casino building in their rooms in the back. They can maybe peer down in, but there's a tree line there, so it's the subtleties. It's a little bit of hidden. It's just enough hidden. And I was in a restaurant in Palm Springs not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, and there were two officers in there. One was a community service, you know, cops, citizens on patrol kind of thing, and the other one was an officer. And they were talking about homeless camps in Palm Springs that they were kind of dealing with, and they were having more of like a briefing on what the one did like an hour before about something with the homeless. And I heard him say, I just told him, move out of sight, move a little bit up the hill where we can't see you, and then you're good. So they allow this to go on, and they do it in a way where they just whatever's easiest. Yeah, it's just we're not going to tell you to leave. We're just going to tell you to go out of sight, out of mind. And I said that in this homeless video. I walked by. It was a highway patrol, and he was parked right out on an on-ramp right there, and you can see the homeless camp. So it's like out of sight, out of mind. As long as they're not causing a problem for other people, they're allowed to do it. And I posed the question in the article: what if you built up camp like this in the front yard of your home in Desert Hot Springs? Just like they have here. Would that be allowed to stay up? I doubt it. So that's an interesting article. I believe everybody should read that. And go to newsanddhs.com. Amazon patents creepy drone technology to spy on your home. Everybody knows about Amazon. At least everybody in Desert Hot Springs does. Not everybody, but everybody who shops by now knows what Amazon is. So what they want to do is they want to offer a service. It's a spying as a service, basically, where they'll come fly your house and they'll check it for any strange things going on. So you can't trust these people with your information. That's for sure. I do not have one of those Alexas. I do not have one of those Siri things. I don't have any of that stuff because it's always on, it's always recording, and it's always sending information back. You cannot trust these people. Why? Because there's a lot of money to be made in selling your data. And I told that to Councilman Russ Betts. I said, everything is commoditized. Everything is a tradable, valuable thing. And your health, your property, your loan, your mortgage, your credit cards, everything is sellable and tradable. Everything is up for sale. And it's not a sustainable system. So that's why we're putting together what's called the build-up. We're building up to something. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's definitely building up. This coming 25th, the day before the ad hoc homeless committee, is going to be an interview process for the 11 people so far. I think it closes Monday, so there may be more. But as of, I think, yesterday, there was only 11 people fighting for one seat. And, Councilman Russell Betts said he thinks I might not be too far off. He said I might be surprised, but I might not be too far off with my prediction that it's going to be an insider. So he couldn't tell me. He has the list. He said, I can email it to you, but he said, you'll publish it. I said, you know what, Russ, if you told me that you didn't want me to say something, I will honor that. People don't tell me not to post stuff, and I take public information and I share it. It's public information. So he said he had a list. He had an email of the people who had already applied. We don't get that until Monday. It doesn't get released until Monday. And I get why, and I agree with why it's not released until Monday. It's because if you release it now and somebody else comes in late and turns in an application on Monday, it looks like this is the main group. Oh, and then there's this guy. It looks like there's favoritism involved. And I get that. I totally understand that. So we'll know at the end of the day on Monday. I think they're going to publish it on Monday for I believe it's a Wednesday meeting. What's the 25th going to be? Tuesday meeting. So we're going to have a Tuesday meeting at the Carl May Center, and this is the item here. I don't know if I put it in as a link, but if you expand this, you'll see look how big. Yeah, it's June 25th at 5 p.m. So beware, it's Tuesday at 5 p.m. They're going to have a special meeting of the City Council where they're going to candidate interviews and appointment to fill city council vacancy created by the resignation of Annie Zavala. So they're going to, you know, what I believe it, the person running the city, what I believe that person is going to do is pretend to care about a lot of other people that have applied for it, and pretend to not care about the people or person that is pre-selected, to make it look like it came down to the last minute to decide, and they will make their selection that they've made already through the person running the city. So, and one thing that alarmed me was in the conversation I had with Councilman Russ Betts, was that he said, if I feel like I can't get people on my side, he said, I'll just vote with them. Basically, he said, I'll vote with them so I don't throw away the vote. I don't understand that. I don't understand what that means. What? I believe you stand solid in what you believe in, and you don't flip. So I'm skeptical, and I'm starting to get contacted by more people in who are currently serving in some sort of public office. I mean, more and more of them are contacting me. That's not a coincidence. That's on purpose. And what I believe it has to do with is that my website and my activism in the city is growing. And I believe it's back to what I was saying earlier in the broadcast, which is that if they can be part of it, they can keep it from going to the full extent of power of what it can do. And as long as people are focused and trained on their group's leader, they're not freely roaming around autonomously doing something else to activate and to reach and to push messages out to people. If the leader is saying, this is what we need to do next, this is where we need to go next, this is how we need to do it, then the group as a collective will continue to follow their leader. And if the leader always goes, short of all the way, then the group will always go short of all the way. So I'm not saying that people are contacting me to do that to me, but I'm very, very, very aware of that as a strategy. So I will never fully commit to being on board with anybody, anyone, ever. I will, to a degree, involve myself with other people, but I won't go all the way into full sharing and things like that. I just won't do it. I'm not going to do that. So that's not my style, because it's way too easy for it to be a dead end or to be a setup and all that stuff. It's crazy how it works, but that's why people can't understand politics. I think for the most part, the average person can't, because you have to have a warrior spirit mind to get it. You have to be a person who battles psychologically, and that's what this is. The city battles with me. They go to battle with me, and they don't like that I'm doing this, and they've never said it, but you can tell. So it's a spirit. And so we'll see what happens with people contacting me. We'll see where it goes. I was going to meet with one, he canceled, so fine, I don't care. Contact me again. We'll try to set something up. I'm not going to reach out. If people reach out to me, I will answer. I will get back to them. But this is my thing, and if you want to join in, you can join in and help. I've actually reached out to people in town. I'm waiting to hear back. See what they decide to do. I want writers. I want people who are going to write articles. I want people who are aware. And on my next show, I'm going to get into, this is going to be a fun one. On my next show, or the one after it, I'm going to get into what I believe is called controlled opposition. And controlled opposition and how it is very effective in the city of Desert Hot Springs. Controlled opposition and what the fundamental roots and beliefs are of these people that I believe are controlled opposition. Because we know one thing, Desert Hot Springs has had the feeling, the residents have had the feeling for a long time that there's been corruption in the city, there's people getting paid, for this, that. I can't prove that, and most of us probably will never be able to prove that. But it perpetuates, and it goes on. And you see people growing wealth off of the city, off their positions in the city, and things just don't seem to be getting better where it really counts and where it really means something. And I'm not for putting everybody on welfare. That's not what I'm about. I believe in temporary help until people get on their feet, but I'm not for perpetual, forever welfare. So I believe you teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life. Feed a man, and he's forever dependent upon you. That's what I'm into. Everybody has the capability to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, but if that perception of corruption, it goes on and on and on and on and on, I look at how it could possibly be happening, and I see certain traits within our city and our social media of certain people, of certain group leaders and their behavior, and how it never quite goes all the way. It's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. It's a lot of hot air and no real solutions. It's about stirring the pot a lot. And it's also about deleting people who have legitimate arguments. So that's going to be on a future episode, because I've studied our city and how it fails to operate and how it sort of operates. But I will say this. I'll say the Desert Hot Springs, I will go as far as this. It's actually looking better. I will admit to that. And I have noticed that some of the things that people have asked for are starting to get done, and I know that some staff has changed. So I will say that it's better. But on the other hand, the same people are running the city that were running it back when it was just awful. The same people are running the city who were running it when it went down to $400. So you have the same people who, if they're not pressured to do better, how much worse will it get? So I believe the pressure put on them causes them to react. That's not good enough for me. People running the city should have the intent to do well in the city from the first day out. Not, well, if I don't get what I want in a vote, I'm just gonna vote with them. I don't like that. So those I covered that. I think the last thing before we kind of check that one I had up there for a while, before we check some mainstream news, is why are things so clown-like out there in the world? Is what I'll ask before I'll give you my take on why it's that way. Your data, you create your profiles you have on different social media accounts, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter. They're all being sold to companies who want to market to you. All your data is being sold. All your likes are being sold to the bidders. They're bidding for your data. When you get to that point, I think you're starting to nosedive as a society, because what's more important is money. And what I believe is that all corporations, which is what we're talking about here, we're talking about Google, Amazon, which are all linked to Desert Hot Springs. That's why I try to keep subjects that are tied to Desert Hot Springs. All corporations cannot be controlled by government. At some point, the government becomes smaller than all of the corporations combined, and the government becomes less powerful than all the corporations combined. So when you have a massively, exponentially more powerful group, which is the corporations, which can say to government, you want to come after us? We'll shut down your food supply. And then all the people will turn on you. when you have corporations who have that much leverage power against the government, which ultimately means the people, it becomes a case where the government has to rely on the people to help fix things. And the government can't be, and this is one thing that I said to Russ Betts, and he returned back to me and said he basically agreed with me. I told him I have a lot of information that I've been storing, that I've gathered, and a lot of documentation, a lot of recordings that I've been picking up for a long time, that if I just released them all, people wouldn't believe it. He said, I agree with you. He said, when I first started, before I got into city council, I was going out and I was muckraking. He didn't use those words, but it's basically what he was doing. And he said there's a saying. He said something like, if you gave it all to the people, they wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't believe it's true. So I believe that's what government can't do, and I pray that that's why our city doesn't tell its residents everything that's going on. I pray it's because they just fear that they can't tell the public everything. But something has to start now. You have to start giving people bits of information and build up to get them to full speed, today's speed. And I just don't see that happening. So, you know, they're getting better, but they're still the core group of people that couldn't do it without being pressured, without help, because they're always going out asking for money. You know, the mayor's always asking for money. Before I forget, tomorrow there's a CVAG meeting at Agua Caliente Casino, by the way, which is quite ironic. There's a what do they call it? The special General Assembly is getting together, and I contacted CVAG and asked if I could go, and they said, yeah, it's open to the public. You just, you know, if you don't buy a dinner ticket, you don't eat there, which is fine. I don't want to pay $70 for a meal to the CVAG. I don't like half the things CVAG's doing. Why would I give them $70 of my money? So I want to cover that. I want to go there and see what happens, see who I see. I'll be a fly on the wall, so that'll be fun. That's tomorrow, Monday, June 24th. Then Tuesday we have the special meeting of the City Council in the Carl May Center. And then Wednesday I got the ad hoc homeless committee. So there's a few things going on. But what I think I covered the point where I said, you know, I think things are really getting to the point where people have to get involved. You have to get involved. This is interesting. So back to the national news. I was searching around on Twitter over the weekend, and I saw there were people posting that, you know, they wanted to go out and help people understand what to say to ICE when Immigration and Customs Enforcement came to the door, because Trump kicked off some ICE raids, and there's video footage of it, of them showing up and looking to deport thousands of people a month or whatever it was. And then he abruptly canceled it, and it says here, Pelosi request granted. So I commented saying, everybody, it's called off for at least 2 weeks. So that was a big to-do. You got the Nancy Pelosi called Trump Friday night asking him to call off ICE raids, and he did. So that's interesting. You got the stuff going on with Iran. I hope we don't go to war. I hate war. All wars are banker wars. They make money. This is a commodity. This is a commoditized activity. It's about making money. It's about selling bombs. About getting a hold of natural resources in a certain area. I encourage everybody to pull up the video. 7 countries in 6 years, I think it was. It was by General Wesley Clark. And every country, basically, that we've gone after for various, I believe, fake reasons, has been on that list. And this was after 9/11. In 2001, Donald Rumsfeld had a memo, and General Wesley Clark got that memo, and it was 7 countries in 6 years. And it was Syria, it was Iraq, it was Iran, it was a lot of countries. One was in Africa. So a lot of countries that we've already gone into, and Iran has yet to be invaded. So Syria's fighting too. So I'm very skeptical about these attacks, because there are valuable strategic routes for products, for control of regions, that if they say that a leader of a country that's very peaceful dumped chemical weapons on his own people, be very, very skeptical. So this site just updated and he switched it. Matt Drudge moved the red to up here, so you can see it updates itself quite regularly, about every minute or so. So that's an interesting article on there. Billionaire shaking up landscape. Jared unveils like no plan in the Middle East. Without warrants, Customs Border Protection searches journalists' devices. So you're seeing an attack on journalism a little bit. Life on Mars gets tested from Utah. Giant squid captured in front of. You're seeing a lot of, a little bit of hysteria going on about alien stuff. I'm not arrogant enough to think that we're here alone. I think there's possibility. There's other life out there. Just I'm not convinced that we're the only thing living here, because in our visible spectrum that is full. I always talk about the narrow one the city tries to keep you in, or the government does, but we have a higher and a lower. And what we hear, dogs hear at a higher frequency than we hear. So we have hearing only within a certain range of audible tones. We have vision only within a certain segment of visual perception, and our senses, our touch, we only sense within a certain range. It goes beyond, above and below that. So if that's all we see, I'm not arrogant enough to believe that we're the only thing. That if there was something else out there, we would see it. I'm not that arrogant. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that I don't take it as no. There's nothing else out there living in this universe. Deportation deal with. This is the War on Information page, where the internet ends. 13,000 square miles of U.S. has made cell phones and internet illegal. So this is talking about the how 5G. There are 5G free zones and internet free zones in the country, and a lot of wealthy people are moving there. That article, I read that one. Iran's restart leader on current regime, full interview. Watch liberals feeling blue after Orlando Trump rally. Proof media lies about Trump base. Sedition of Ocasio-Cortez gives illegal aliens tips on how to evade ICE raids. So, you have elected public servants that are now telling people how to break the law. Newly released docs raise questions about Ilhan Omar's marriage story. Joe Biden compares Trump's election to his assassination of MLK. See, this is the clown world. It's the clown world. It's the things that the rhetoric is so ridiculous that we're building up to something. And we may continue building up for the next 47, 59 years from now. Who knows? Who knows how long this is going to build up? Could be 500 years of us building up. I don't know how. Maybe we'll just keep getting used to it being so crazy, and we'll just accept that it's just going to get crazier every couple of years. So you can go read those articles there. Watch a live show over here of that Warren Information guy, and then you have we'll do Yahoo, we'll do Google, and then we'll wrap up. Can't type very well today, so we'll see what they're talking about on Yahoo, so I can get my 4 sources that I go to the most and see what they're covering. Trump warns he's not prepared to lose re-election. So this is the media saying that they're trying to imply that he wants to be a dictator for the next, until 2068 or something like that. So Trump said he'd rather face Biden, isn't prepared to lose. This is the lopsidedness that I talk about. We're way out of balance. We have to bring balance. If I was for a party that was winning, I would say don't shut out the other party, because I said this to Councilman Russ Betts also. I said I want the hardest challenge. I want to face the hardest work, because it makes me stronger, makes me tougher. And if there were 100 people running against me in an election, I would encourage it. That's natural. That's what's going to happen, and it makes me feel more successful if I beat certain people below me. I want the competition. I want the challenge. So I see the media as most of them leaning a certain direction, and they have clear-cut destinations they want to get to with certain topics, whether it be guns, whether it be government or tech, spy tech, social media. They favor certain agendas and destinations, and all they have to do is write articles with nuances, with subtleties to get you to go there. Okay? And you see it all the time in media. They slant the tone of the title. They'll slant the flavor of the article to get the reader to walk away from the article on board with them. It's very unhealthy, and it's very unsafe for a country to do that. So I go to lots of sites to get where they're leaning, what they're going for, so that I can find some sort of middle ground in understanding of what's going on. Good example is how they'll have a lot of blacks will murder other blacks in certain cities in the country, and then you may have a rare case of a white man, killing in self-defense or in any other situation, killing a black man, and it's on every national news story. So what you see is a slanting of the information. They ignore the black on black crime, for example, and they highlight a marginal percentage of crimes, or not crimes, but of cases where you have a certain other group that's accused of murdering a certain person. I got into a heated discussion about something with a friend on Facebook, and that friend is no more. So I'm fine with it. It's when you're uninformed and you pick a side, and that's what I'm going to get into when I talk about certain personalities in our city who are self-appointing. They're appointing themselves as people who are going to take you only to a certain point, and they stir things up. They stir up trouble, but they don't offer any real solutions. So I see a lot of that in the media. I see a lot of stirring up of trouble, causing people to be divided, and they walk away, and that's what they wanted. They wanted you to be divided. So I don't see much on Yahoo. There's a lot of another presidential campaign entering the race. By the way, I believe it's going to be Michelle Obama that's going to run against Trump in 2020. I think she's laying low. I see the positioning. I see the hiding under cover right now and not being in the public eye. And these are the nuances. This is the subtleties. This is the details where everything really operates. Where if the media is covered and saturated with a person for years in advance, by the time they announce they're running for president, people are like, I've been hearing about this person for years. So I believe they've got Michelle Obama quietly sitting back, because at the perfect opportune time in 2020, she's going to announce she's running. And then it's going to be all fresh, all new, all these 20-something other that are running on the Democrat, which are not really running yet. They're just campaigning. They're getting donations. They're not legally on the ballot yet. They're saying they're running, but the party has to pick their nominee, and they don't do that until closer to the election. So we're talking about 2020. So you're seeing a lot of people using up airtime to keep in the minds of voters, topics, issues they want to keep pushing. So again, look at the nuances, look at the subtleties, look at the details of what's going on, not the heart of it. Don't look at the meat of the steak. Look at the seasoning on it. Look at what the ingredients are that are peppering the subject you're talking about. So we'll go to Google News. We'll see what they're talking about today, and then we'll probably wrap up. It's been a fun show, been a good show. Still waiting on calls. You're all welcome to call. I don't see any light blinking over here. Line's open. Let's see. Pompeo confronts dual crises as he begins trip to Middle East Asia. Blow to Turkey's Erdogan as opposition wins big in Istanbul. New Hampshire motorcycle crash victims identified by authorities. That was bad one. 7 people died, 3 were injured. Booty kick. Town hall devolves into shouting mid-anger over South Bend police shooting. Hard Rock Hotel in Dominican Republic removes liquor dispensers from minibar. All right, so it doesn't look like the Sunday sometimes can be a pretty buttery day. So nothing much there to cover. I mean, it's all stuff. It's all stuff that people wrote. So with that, go to newsandhs.com, share the articles, copy and paste them. What you can do is you can go to the articles. This is the 11 people will fight for 1 seat this coming Tuesday. So what you can do is you can click this up here, the link for yourself on your own home computer or on your phone. Highlight that link. You can right click it. You know how to do this on your phone. You do copy, and then you can go to your email and you can compose, and you pick a person to send it to, and then you paste it in there and just send it. So you can share the links very easily to the articles. Getting a lot of traffic. I got in the 60s of views a day. So getting a lot of people looking at newsandhs.com. So share the articles, whether you agree with them or not. Go read some of them. Contact me at steverjgibney@gmail.com if you want to be a contributor. I've got a link, I've got a category on the site that is contributing. I forget how I titled it. It's about basically a contributed article by a resident or whoever. So send me an article. I'll highlight you. We'll see what kind of thing happens from that. Something you see going on, I'll write an article around what you see. I'll give you credit for it. So I'm here for long term. I'm here to stay. I love it here. I love Desert Hot Springs. I love the people in Desert Hot Springs. Anyone who knows me, whether it's the guys at O'Reilly, because I do a lot of my work on my own cars. Guys at O'Reilly, my neighbors. I'm always pleasant. I like people. And I don't like seeing people mistreated. So I know enough now that I'm pretty much almost 100% confident in being justified in my actions now, trying to get information to people that I think I don't know how to say it. It's a worthy cause, is how I put it. I feel good enough about it now, and I feel solid enough in what I know that I'm doing the right thing. So newsandhs.com. Until next time, we'll have another show this week coming up. One of the days, I'll probably, maybe after Tuesday, maybe I'll have a show on Wednesday, and I'll call Russ Betts. I'll see if he'll let me call him to discuss the pick that they made, because they're going to televise the meeting on the 25th. So they now have a YouTube live, going live on YouTube. So that's cool. I like that. That's good. That's new. So, who knows? Maybe they're planning on doing all this stuff, and everything I've said they've just ignored. But I still see the city a little bit better. But my point is that the same people who drove it almost into the ditch are still running things. So if they had a chance to fix it in the past and they didn't, I don't know. Are they coming to Jesus? Them? I don't know. Read your Bible. Be afraid of God, and take care of your neighbors. It's a good life. It's a good world, and we're gonna get through this clown activity together. You're watching the only independent news channel here in Desert Hot Springs.